So hello again. Yes, so it was very nice to hear Africa in both of your answers. So tell me now, from an African perspective, how do we navigate and where are the opportunities for us with all this uncertainty, as you rightly mentioned?
Clearly, uncertainty is a new paradigm. So for me, the most important point is that the company has to adapt to that. So now it's impossible to make scenarios, but environment is changing and people have to adapt and to continue to run the business. But anyway, within this change of paradigm, we are thinking that there could be some opportunity, in particular for developing the market in Africa, because if tomorrow the US market is closed or is reduced, they should find some new opportunity in Africa and to develop the business locally or to make sure that there is also to create a demand.
Thank you. And so, and you, what's your take from an African angle?
If you look at the performance of Africa and indeed emerging markets recently, it's been, in fact, from a corporate perspective, actually a lot better than the US, in fact. I think that means you need to look internally. I think the big problem with Africa, of course, it's not one country. It's a continent, right? And one of the real problems is always you start with the most basic things. What is the infrastructure? So that the logistics in Africa really need to be sorted. Some of that can be political. I mean, Belt and Road has had some impact, but that's been on the peripheries. Of course, we always look at the maritime or seawards facing countries because ports are important, but inland transport is hugely important. A lot of that is around trucking, so a lot of that is, or the issues there around the roads, but also around customs, clearance and duties. I mean, there are sometimes in the borders between certain countries, trucks can wait a week to get through, which means perishable goods and this sort of thing makes it very difficult to export. I think so that there are projects like the Lobito corridor. All of this takes investment. It also takes political stability. I think we're in Africa in a much more politically stable era. Yeah. There are conflicts going on, but I think we're in a much more stable environment than we have been for a long time. I think now there are a lot of investors from the West and elsewhere who are looking at Africa and saying, this is the next new great thing.
Definitely.
This is the great hope. And I actually think people say there's always about Africa, people always hope, they invest, and then there's some disaster. I think we're in a much better place than we have been for a long time. And certainly a lot of my members in it, as you know, we have an African Regional Committee, which you remember, extremely active and are seeing, it's not just trade, but it's also working capital finance. And that is the next iteration of trade finance, and that's what makes a lot of sense for ongoing business.
Oh, thank you very much, gentlemen. And it's very good to see the dynamics and positive.